Morning, I hope you're all okay. Good day. Today is Monday the 27th of July 2020. It's 8 a.m. It's our first movement snack of the day. If you're watching on catch up and this isn't the one you want, then scoot back through. You'll find all the others on our Facebook group. Do the one you want, and then I'll see you on the catch up a little bit later on. I'll still be here. If you are joining us live, then let us know you're here. Give us your comments, say hello, say good morning. Also, if you're on catch-up, one of the things you get from that, one of the benefits you get, I suppose, from catch-up is the fact that you can stop and pause. You can have a look at something, you can go back and do it again, all those sorts of things. So sometimes, even if you are watching live, it's great to go back and have a look at the session again, have a look at the snack. So, good morning to you all. Say hello as you come on board. Let me know where you are. Let me know what you're up to. I'm in Norfolk today. Bad hair day, George. Look, I've flattened it down now, but look, it's terrible. So caps on. Mornings are always a cap job because I'm too lazy to get up and do my hair straight away. So jumped out of bed, did what I needed to do, and I'm ready to go. But hair can wait. I'll go and jump in the shower after this. So anyway, enough of my baffling. Good morning to you, Maddie, as well, in from Dagenham. Good to have you here. It's rainy where you are. Just looking out the window at the moment, cloudy. A slight breeze by the looks of it, but nothing too untoward. Good morning to you, Bex. Good morning to yourself, Angela, coming in from a rainy Wilmslow. I think rain is going to be a big feature across most of the UK today, isn't it? Francis in from a soaking Bristol. Yeah, the theme is coming through. It's going to be wet. It's going to be a damp day across the UK. Never mind. You have 3 snack sessions from us today. Good morning, Christine. Miserable day where you are again as well. Heavy showers. Oh, dear. It's going to be a common theme, I think. Good morning to you, Jane. It's cloudy in Edinburgh. But no rain, so let's hope it stays that way for you as well. This is our first movement snack of the day, our first opportunity to add some additional movement minutes into our day, over and above everything else we're already doing. Hi, Di, just in from Somerton, and good morning to you, Wendy, in from Shrewsbury. Very wet where you are in Shrewsbury, and very wet in Somerton as well. So let's brighten up the day with a movement snack to start us off. An additional 10 to 15 minutes of movement to pop into our snack suitcase. You got 3 sessions with you today. You have Bex with you at lunchtime, if my memory serves me right. And Kelsey is at 4 p.m. I think that's right, yeah. Greetings to yourself, Sheila. Part of the collective is in... did you say you're in Norfolk? Yes, I am. Well, this part of the collective is on the border with Cambridgeshire. Yes, I know you're sort of Cambridge away, aren't you? Whereabouts in Cambridge are you, actually? Sheila, it'd be good to know. Drive through Cambridge, and the new Cambridge bypass made an amazing difference to the journey down here. Good morning to you, Bob. Wet, wet, wet. You're off with your songs again. Classics, many classics from Wet, 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 if you're a fan. Good morning to yourself, Christine. Rainy in Penzance, too. You were hoping to play tennis later. Looking unlikely. Well, you know, it might cheer up. It might cheer up. If not, then you could get some great shots of water coming off a spinning ball. That would be great. Anyway, I'm going off on one now. Vivian, good morning to you. Very wet and rainy where you are in Bolton. It's not a wet hair day, Bob. It's just a bad hair day. Rain forecast for the rest of the day where you are in Edinburgh, Jane. Let's hope it doesn't come to fruition. Good morning, Dawn. Good to have you with us. Right, it is 8 o'clock, so let's have our 3, 2, 1, everybody. If you want to lose the comments off the screen, swipe them to the right and they will be gone. If you want to keep them on, then it will be, you'll get some additional comments coming in from Bob, from Bex, and from Dawn, I am sure. Are you on an Olympics come down, are you, this morning, Bex? Right, let's get ourselves going. Let's say a quick hello to Jane, who's in from Port Talbot, and a quick hello to Sue, who's at home in Bath after 4 months in the Highlands. Wow. If you want to get rid of those comments, get rid of them. We need to decide whether we're going to do this in a standing or a seated position. If we're standing, we have some external fixed support. If we're seated, we're going to be in an active seated position. Before we do that though, let's look at our posture. So from a posture perspective, we have our knees in line with our hips. Let me just change that angle slightly. We have our knees in line with our hips and in line with our ankles. We're going to grow an extra inch between our ribs and our hips, lifting the shoulders up, bringing them back, shoulder blades together and pressing down. Lengthen through your neck for me. And in our seated position, exactly the same with the upper body, but we're in our front third of the chair. So hip walk to the front third of the chair, feet flat on the floor, sit through the bottom, so active sitting through your bum, lift a little bit, grow this extra inch back, down and together. From there, let's take it into a circulation booster and we'll start with a foot pedal. Now, I know we normally do this in socks. I've got shoes on today because it's a wooden floor. And I don't have anything that I can do it on, so I put my shoes on today to show you. But what I want you to focus on is the movement through your ankle, feet and toes. So you're pushing up onto the ball of your foot and getting a crease between your toes and the ball of the foot, really mobilising through those ankles. In our seated position, exactly the same. Now, if you feel ready for it, bring it into a little bit of a march. So bringing the foot off the floor, not a huge distance, but just raising that foot off the floor, landing down onto the toes firstly, coming through to the ball of the foot and then the heel. So if I really slow this down so you can see it, we go toes, ball, heel. Toes, ball, heel. Yeah. Now, whatever pace you're doing is the right pace, so stay with that pace. In our seated position, again, exactly the same, but what we sometimes find in our seated position is that this can become quite a tiresome move into hip flexors. There's a lot of movement going on here, a lot more action into the hips flexors than there is in the standing position. So you may want to keep it as that foot pedal, or an option for you is to tap the toes in front, so a little toe tap in front. From there, we're going to add an arm swing in as well. So let's put that arm movement in, and the drive is from our shoulder, pushing the elbow back, so we're working into and really mobilising through this shoulder joint. In our standing position, if we're utilising our support, then every now and again, take a pause, as many steps as you need to change direction, and away you go on the other side. If you feel steady and stable in your standing position, let's bring it in with both arms. Now, this is our circulation booster, so it's doing what it says. It's boosting our circulation around the body. It's good to get the blood pumping around the body. We're loosening the joints because we're mobilising them a little. We're warming the joints, we're warming the muscles. We're preparing the body for what we're about to do. Great thing to do, a circulation booster. If you've been sat down for a while, when you first get up, have a little bit of a boost to that circulation. And it's good to boost that circulation every now and again. This is us saying to the body, come on, let's get ready to go. Okay? After a couple of minutes, we're going to take a pause. And with that pause, we should feel as though we want to take a deep breath or a couple of deep breaths, but we shouldn't be out of breath. Right, let's move on to our mobilisation then. So, we're going to start with the top trio. With our shoulders, in our standing position, utilising our support if we need to, shoulders come up towards the ears and lower down. And it's a real focused movement of those shoulders up and down. So keep the neck lengthened, don't bring the ears down. Exactly the same in the seated position. 3, 4 or 5 of those. And if you feel that you have more mobility on one side, then have a focus onto the side that has less mobility. If you need to utilise your support, then you are going to have to do one side at a time and to the other. But what you might want to do is come into a seated position for these, so you can do both at the same time. If you're coming to a seated position, feel the chair behind, lower with control, hip walk to the front third. After your 3, 4 or 5, let's take it to a roll. So this movement here, we bring the shoulders forward first, up towards our ears, roll them back, shoulder blades together and down. So the movement from the side look is here. Really feeling and thinking about that movement. So feel the shoulders as you bring the movement round. Feel the shoulders engaging and mobilizing. Again, 3, 4, or 5, and once again, if you have more mobility on one side, you may want to focus onto the individual side, so you can really try and focus onto gaining more movement on that other side. Once you've done your 3, 4, or 5, take a pause and let's move to our head. Now, we're going to move the head from side to side. This can challenge our balance, so let's have a good base of support to start off with. If you want to utilize your support, do, yeah? And it might just be that you need to have the support available so you can pop your hand down if you need to, rather than utilizing it all the time. Seated position, you're exactly the same, or again, you may want to come from a standing to a seated position. Head, turn to the side, into the center with a pause, and turn to the other side. It's a controlled move, so we're not throwing the head from side to side, which is why we take this little pause to separate the movements. Now, as I say, this head movement can challenge your balance, which we don't want to do. So make sure you've got some support available or you are sitting down. 3, 4, or 5 on each side. And once again, if you have a bit more movement on one side, you might want to do a couple of extra on one side. And the range that you do is what's right for you, okay? So whatever the range of movement is right. You may find over time, the more we do this, we're going to see a difference. Right, I'm going to come into my proposal position so that I can show you this next move. We're going to work onto the head again. So we've got a little bump at the back of the neck here, at the top of the spine. What we're going to do is we're going to flatten that. So eye line stays to the front, we give ourselves a lockdown chin, all right? So fingers there, and what we're going to do, bring the head back and line it up. The rest of the body stays still. Now we can either use the fingers to press back, or as I prefer to do, keep the fingers where they are and press back into it. In your seated position, exactly the same. And if you did have a wall, for instance, if you're against the wall, you can feel that movement there, bringing it back in to line up against. You can feel your head getting closer to the wall, but your gaze stays level. So we're not tipping the head back, we're not looking down, so we're not tipping the chin in. We just are bringing the head back and keeping the eye line straight. 3, 4, or 5 of those. Once you've done that, that is your top trio done. So let's come back in for a circulation boost to just get the body moving again. We've taken a pause while we did our movements and focused on our mobility, which is exactly right. So let's have a little bit of a re-warm again, just a couple of few seconds, 30 seconds or so. Take a pause and let's move to our trunk trio. So first one, we're going to twist the trunk to the side. We're going to rotate it to the side, come in and pause, rotate the other way. So base of support, slightly wider, so we're about shoulders width. If you're not utilising support, again, have it available. If you are utilising your support, have it, and the turn is going to be in towards it. In our seated position, into the front third, sit active onto here. Now, the hips stay still, have a look. The movement is to the side, with the hips staying where they are. A pause in the centre, and then the other way. And again, the range that is your range is the right range. Hands, you can have them folded in front, you can place them in front, you can have them by your side. If you're utilising your support, then turn into your support, do 3, 4, or 5 on one side and then change direction. In your seated position, it's a really good way to know that your hips aren't moving because the weight should stay even across your buttocks. And I tend to here take one hand across to the other side. Again, if you have support and you've got your support in front of you, which I don't have here, I've only got a wall to the back of it, but if you have your support inside of you, what you can do is take your hand across the support, and that then means you can go from side to side, but focus on locking these hips in. Why do we do it? Reaching to get something. When we get our belt on in the car, we have to turn. If we're looking behind us, you know, if we're going to cross the road, we do a look to the side. There's a twist in the trunk there, there's a rotation. 3, 4, or 5, take a pause. Our next movement, a bend, a side bend. So I'm going to slide the hand down towards the knee with a little pause in the centre and then back up. Again, if you're utilising your support, come in towards the support. And in our chair, you may want to use the legs of the chair as a guide for you. So as you do in a standing position, you take the hands down level with the leg. We might want to use the chair. Again, pause in the centre. We're lengthened through the body still. So if you've come into a bit of a slouch, sit tall, get that extra length in there before you start. We're mobilising into the side of our trunk. And if we're reaching down to get something off the floor, that movement is in there. You know, even if we're coming down towards the floor with a knee bend and a lunge, we're still, if we're coming to the side, we're doing that. If we're reaching across here, if you're in the car and you need to get something out of the glove box, there's that movement. So it's part of our everyday life. 3, 4 or 5, and again, if you have a bit less movement on one side, you might want to do a couple of extra on one side, but the whole of the top of the body stays in line. So we don't dip the neck down, we don't keep it up. We keep it in line as we go down, and where you go to is right. Okay, from there, after your 3, 4 or 5, have a pause. We go into our back extension. Now here, we need to focus on these hips again. So whereas the hips didn't move when we went from side to side with our rotation, this time we need to make sure they don't, the pelvis doesn't pivot. So it doesn't come forward, it doesn't come back, it stays still. And what we're going to do is bring the shoulders back and into there. Yeah, so you can see how the hips stay still. Now if you do have something to lean on, so if you've got a tabletop for instance or a work surface, you can anchor your bottom against there and bring the upper body back. Eye line stays still. If I do it in the seated position, I can feel if there's any movement into my pelvis. So double chin comes in again because we bring the upper body back and we keep the eye line, the gaze to the front. 3, 4 or 5 of those. Again, working within your own range. Once you've done those 3, 4 or 5, take a pause and let's have another quick reboost of our circulation. So we've done our top trio, we've done our head, turns from side to side. That comes into, you know, if we're crossing the road, if we're going to pick something up, we'll move our head at the same time. So we've focused on that, we've mobilised through our shoulders and we've done our trunk. We come down to our ankle, feet and toes. Have a pause, have a look at your motion. All right, so from here, with my support, I'm going to bring the foot up, place the toes on the floor. Have a look the first couple of times. And lift and put the heel in the same place. Once you've got it set, try and take your eye line to the front, and the leg that's giving you support is the one that's nearest to your support, your external support. The knee stays soft. Once you've done your 3, 4 or 5, turn as many steps as you need to change the other direction. In our seated position, we have exactly the same motion, but to start it, we're going to need to bring the foot back a little bit behind our knee line. So we've got that space to be able to get the ankle in to its most range of movement, its biggest range of movement, I should say. So pointing the toes, lifting and driving it down. You may find that that is a bit difficult for you, in which case hip walk into the back third of the chair, sit yourself back, still sit tall, take the leg out and we point the toes away and we flex it in. So we point away and we flex it in. Now the thing with this is we're working on the ankle. So if you're feeling anything into your calf, lower the foot. It's the ankle where you want to feel the movement, yeah? So away and in. You're going to feel movement within that calf, and you're going to feel some movement into the front of the shin, but what you don't want to feel is a stretch. So if you're feeling that stretch, relax the foot down a little bit so that you're not engaging a stretch into the calf. 3, 4 or 5 of those, and then if standing is on your radar in a seated position, then we'll take it a stage further. We're going to take it into a step itself. So we're going to come forward. We've got the ankle comes down onto the heel comes down onto the floor. We step through and we come up onto our toes and our ball of the foot. You can bring it back in and other side. So ankle and step. So this is our stepping motion. And heel goes down through to the ball of the foot and onto the toes. So just a few of those as an alternative for you. Well, really focus onto that movement within your ankle joint. There we are. That's our movement mobility for this morning. Keep that on your radar. Take the opportunity throughout the day to have a few more mobilizations in there. So if you've been sat down for a while, get yourself, when you get up, have a little bit of a circulation booster, have a little bit of a mobilization before you do stuff, and look for those opportunities to crowbar those in to your day as you go forward. That's me for this morning. I'll be back with you 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Have a wonderful day, everybody. You've got Bex at lunchtime, Kelsey at 4 o'clock, and I will see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.